Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive version of Mega Man X from the D-Arts line, which came out, not the line, but the figure came out just before I started collecting these guys and just before I started going to Comic-Con, so I didn't buy it new, obviously. I finally got one from a guy on eBay. So the box and the figure's not in the best of shape, but it's pretty good, and I can definitely show you what we have. So the box is very similar to the standard release of X, but this time it's all shiny and metallic, and we have the Comic-Con sticker up there. And you can see here, USA exclusive, metallic version. And then it's just, the entire box is like a holofoil Pokemon card, if that's what you are familiar with. If not, then it's like some other card that has a holofoil thing on it. I'm not into card games, so I don't really know much about him. Anyway, let's look at the figure. He stands roughly 13 centimeters tall, which puts him at about 5¼ inches. So he's definitely the exact same mold as the standard X figure. Not any bigger, not any smaller. Definitely a really cool looking figure. Some people are really partial for the chrome, some people really hate the chrome, and I am kind of in the middle of both of those positions because shiny things are cool. By nature, we like shiny things. Unfortunately, this figure, the shiny parts, they're not exactly the right shade of blue. On camera right now, they look pretty much like the right color, except for the head. In person, they all look like the head for the most part, which is has a slight tinge of green to it. It's not a pure blue, unfortunately. Let's see if the ruler is... it doesn't really help. Kind of on the head, you can tell. It needs a little bit less of that yellow tint to it, I guess. But it still looks really good, and the silver parts look fine, obviously. I really like that. And then we have the painted metallic Buster front piece, which is like the normal standard release. These pieces down here also, the elbows, the knees, those are all kind of just normal. And then this part is normal also, the light blue. But the dark blue and then the silvers are the metallic parts. It's really a sharp looking figure, whether you like the chrome in particular or not. I think it's a cool addition to the collection. Now the only one I need is the comic version that was exclusive in Japan. So I have to track one of those down, but I'm pretty excited to have this guy. Let's look at what he comes with, and then we'll come back to the figure. He has, first of all, he has the fist hand that's on his left hand, and then he has one for the right hand, of course. So those are just plain old white, same like the regular release. And then same thing for these two hands right here, the little jazz hands. He has the attachment or the arm piece to swap out the Buster. If you want to put hands on both sides or swap the Buster to the other side, you can do that. So all of the arms just pop right off. If you're not familiar with the figure, they just unpeg and you can swap them around and then you can peg them back in. I've heard that the arms come off a little too easily. I haven't experienced that. And same thing for the legs. His legs don't seem particularly loose, so I'm okay with that, but the legs are also swappable. So technically if you bought this guy, you could put the chrome pieces on the regular X partially or on the full armor or ultimate armor or whatever it's called. So you could do all that. And then he also comes with some interchangeable faces. We have the standard stern face. Then we have the yelling face, and then we have the gritted teeth face. And they look kind of awkward, but once you put them in the helmet, they look just fine, so that's good. We have an alternate tip for the Buster. This one has the red gem in it, this one does not, and that is so that we can use our blast effect part. So we have the standard yellow one, which can be rotated and undone, so you can get it in some different configurations if you want to. This piece comes out. So you can use that however you like, and the blast effect part comes off if you want to, and that just pegs into the Buster. Cool piece, nice yellow translucent plastic. Then we also have this one, which is a green one. This piece comes off as well, but that's all the interchangeability you have for this. Nicely made though, I like the green, the shade of the green and the way they did it. It's a little bit heavy, but it shouldn't be too bad if you can balance the figure all right. So we have that, and that's pretty cool. And that's it for the accessory. So he's not loaded with stuff, but I think it's a nice batch. So let's run through the articulation really quick. We have a ball peg for the lower neck, and for the upper neck, I can just kind of show you. One thing I noticed on this is on the Comic-Con version, there's a gap behind his earpiece, and it will not close. I don't know if that's normal or if the guy that owned this before me did something to it, but I had a little bit of trouble with that on this guy. So you just swap the faces out like this, but what we're trying to do is show you the neck articulation. So then we just have the standard SH Figure Arts style ball hinge up at the top, so the head can move this way and then rotate around, and really you can pose the head however you want. Let's put this face on because it looks cool. So you just put the face in and put the helmet back on. Another problem with this figure, and is with, kind of like with the Vacuchrome in general, see, that does not want to fit. I don't know why it doesn't fit perfectly on this guy. It's not very uniform. You get some spots up here, like up here for example, where hopefully you can see it. There's just like a kind of like a rub mark where it was produced. The silver is not uniform, or the blue is not uniform. But there you can see the face looks pretty cool. For the shoulders, we have a standard ball peg that just goes into the torso and the arm moves around that. These shoulder pads just snap on and off of the shoulders, but they move around independently, so you can rotate the arm all the way around if you want to, get it in some really nice poses, and it looks good all the while, so that's a nice thing. We have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, which gives us a good range of motion. This black piece back here is kind of like a cap just to hide the joint. Then we have double ball pegs for the wrists. Now, one thing I noticed on this guy is this kind of brownish chrome does chip off really easily when you're swapping out the hands, so be careful. It came that way, and then as I was looking at it, more of it chipped off, so not the best design. You're going to have to be careful with that. We have a single ball peg, maybe a double. I'm not 100% certain on this, just because I haven't pulled it apart yet. I'm thinking it's a double, trying to look in there, I can't really see it, but we have at least a single, but it looks like a double. Get back over there. I don't know, there we go. But it gives them pretty good range of motion. I'll talk about that in a second. It doesn't have the best, but you can bring them forward pretty far, you can lean them back pretty far, side to side. Actually, it's even better side to side, so you can get them in some really cool poses. And then for the lower torso, we have a single ball peg. I never noticed that they pop off easily. Maybe it's just a coincidence, because right now it feels pretty solid, so I guess it just popped off randomly. But pretty good range of motion in the lower torso also, so it's really not too bad for being a fairly basic figure. You can get them in some really nice looking poses. I really like that about this guy. For the hip, it's a really strange joint, so I can just kind of show you how it works. We get this little cap piece that hides the joint a little bit. You can bring the leg forward. I'll do it on this side. You can bring the leg forward and that cap goes with it to seal it off from the front, but you can see inside it's a strange joint. And then we have a ball peg where it connects to the actual hip, or to the thigh, so you can move that around even more. But it's going to be effective. It's not the best joint in the world. It doesn't really move side to side up here, just at the lower part. But I don't know, he's not really known for kicking too much, so I think he'll be okay probably. For the knee, it's basically the same type of joint as the elbow, slightly different design, but it's just as effective, and this part is like a cap that just hides it a little bit. It's hanging low right now. And I'll pull it off to show you. So this just hides the joint like that, so you can pull that up. Hopefully it'll stay in place. Peg the leg back in, there we go, and it fell back down because I didn't peg it in all the way. Sometimes swapping these parts out is a pain in the butt, and it's not going to want to stay in place. But either way, it doesn't look horrible. It's not great, but get really good range of motion out of the knees. And then for the feet, we have like a double ball peg, ball hinge combo that lets this giant foot move around, and you actually get really good range of motion out of the foot. Be careful though with the chrome. You don't want to scratch that too much. You can see here we have the gems in the bottom of the feet, the sides of the head, and the front of the head, and in the buster. So there it is. It's definitely a really cool figure. If you're a Mega Man fan, then it's one that you're going to want to get for sure. I recommend it. And even if you can't get the SDCC one, grab the regular X. It's a really solid figure. Stick around for some photos at the end. I'll pose this guy so you can see him in action. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.